The clock is ticking on Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, and now Elon Musk is throwing punches. Why Musk is threatening a new party and Trump's response. Plus, the suspect who ambushed Idaho firefighters now identified, who he was, how he died, and his unexpected connection to the fire department. And a name straight out of a movie, Alligator Alcatraz.
There's only one road leading in. The only way out is a one-way flight.
Why the president is headed there today, and why immigration advocates are sounding the alarm. The stories that matter, clear and credible, from across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. Good morning, I'm Craig Negrelli. This morning, President Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trading shots yet again as the Senate's marathon vote-a-rama grinds on. The final vote on Trump's massive budget bill is still up in the air, with senators plugging through a slog of amendments. Majority Leader John Thune is urging senators to pick up the pace, asking for just 10 minutes per vote as the session nears the 24-hour mark. Democrats tried to block deep cuts to Medicaid and food aid, but those efforts failed. An amendment from Republican Susan Collins to boost aid for rural health care also did not pass. Other Republicans pushed changes too, including a failed attempt by Texas Senator John Cornyn to block Medicaid funding for undocumented immigrants accused of crimes, and another by Senator Mike Lee to scrap tax credits for wind and solar. It also failed. But the real heat is coming from Elon Musk. Overnight, the billionaire sounded off on X, calling the bill insane and threatening to start a new political party if it passes, saying Americans need an alternative to the Democrat-Republican uniparty. And he did not stop there. He vows to target every lawmaker who promised to cut spending, then voted for what he calls the biggest debt increase in history. President Trump firing back on Truth Social, accusing Musk of hypocrisy, claiming the bill's removal of Joe Biden's EV mandate is the only reason Musk's business exists, writing without it, quote, Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. No more rocket launches, satellites, or electric car production, and our country would save a fortune. It was one of the most shocking crimes in recent memory, and now the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students will likely never face a jury. 30-year-old Brian Kohberger has agreed to a plea deal, avoiding the death penalty in exchange for life in prison. He was set to stand trial this August for the 2022 stabbings that stunned and rattled the small town of Moscow, Idaho. Prosecutors say his DNA was found at the scene on a knife sheath next to one of the victims. The family of one of the victims, Kaylee Goncalves, is criticizing the deal, saying they were blindsided and claiming they learned about it through email without being consulted, writing, after more than 2 years, this is how it concludes, with a secretive deal and a hurried effort to close the case without any input from victims' families on the plea's details. A judge still has to approve the deal, which is set for a hearing Wednesday. If accepted, Kohberger will spend the rest of his life behind bars with no chance of appeal. Same part of the country, different story. New details this morning in that deadly shooting in Idaho. 2 firefighters killed, another wounded. And now we're learning more about the suspect. The Kootenai County Sheriff confirms 20-year-old Wes Rowley, a transient living out of his car, intentionally set a wildfire on Canfield Mountain, then opened fire on first responders who asked him to move. The sheriff says Rowley had a flint starter on him, and they believe that's how he ignited the fire. After a shootout with police, investigators now believe Rowley took his own life. His family released a statement through their attorney on Monday, saying they plan to fully cooperate with authorities as they search for answers. In fact, his grandfather said Rowley aspired to be a firefighter and had worked in forestry. This morning, President Trump heads deep into the Florida Everglades to tour a migrant detention facility that's already raising eyebrows. It's being called Alligator Alcatraz, something that sounds more like a movie, but it's very real. It's a massive new camp built on a remote airfield surrounded by swampland, snakes, and yes, actual alligators. 5,000 beds, 1 runway, and only 1 way out. The White House says it's a deterrent.
You have illegal murderers and rapists and heinous criminals in a detention facility surrounded by alligators, yes, I do think that's a deterrent for them to try to escape. We do know that some of these illegal criminals have escaped from other detention facilities, like one in New Jersey, which I know was recently reported on. So, of course, we want to keep the American people safe, and we want to remove these public safety threats from our streets, and we want to effectively detain them as best as we can.
But immigration and environmental groups call it dangerous and dehumanizing. And the Florida GOP is selling Alligator Alcatraz merch. This is not just a photo op. Donald Trump is using the visit to rally support for his massive border bill, which includes billions for detention and deportation. Economic relief is headed to Syria and the new government that toppled longtime dictator Bashar al-Assad. President Trump signed an executive order Monday embracing Syria's new government led by Ahmad al-Sharaa, a former rebel leader once linked to al-Qaeda. The move delivers on a promise Trump made last month after meeting al-Sharaa in Saudi Arabia, saying Syria deserves a fresh start. Sanctions remain on former dictator Bashar al-Assad, now in exile in Russia. The White House says the goal is stability and eventual ties between Syria and Israel. Finally this morning, the WNBA is growing fast, riding a wave of record ratings and sold-out crowds. The league announced it's adding 3 new franchises over the next 5 years in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert called it more than an expansion, an evolution. The momentum comes amid a surge in TV viewership and record game attendance and is fueled by stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. They're rivals, I believe. In fact, I think they hate each other. Even I know that. Just this year, the league debuted its first new team since 2008, Golden State. And 2 more expansion teams are set to premiere in Portland and Toronto next year. As for the new teams, Cleveland will start playing in 2028, Detroit in 2029, and Philadelphia in 2030. Boy, this decade is flying by. This year is flying by. It's July 1st. We're halfway through 2025. I was driving in this morning thinking about that, and I thought, what was my New Year's resolution again? I can't remember. How about yours? Those are your unbiased updates for this Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.